Josh Jacobs can win leagues in 2024. His ADP is around 32 overall, as you can see here on the Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty ADP data. I'm going to tell you why Jacobs can win you a league, why he's got top 5 to 10 running back potential from his 32 overall ADP value. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com studios, it's the Fantasy Football Show.
805 yards, 6 TDs, 3.5 a pop last year. Not something that should tickle your fancy, to be honest with you. And I warned everybody about this. Jacobs was an avoid for me because I didn't like his situation. I didn't like Jimmy G. I didn't like his attitude. It wasn't his fault necessarily. The team franchise tagged him. He wasn't happy. He didn't want to play football in Las Vegas, and I warned everybody to stay away from him, even to the tune of predicting that he'd sit out the end of the season to protect his body and await his final last contract, which he exactly did to a T. But people mistake my doubt for a player 1 year as doubt for the player no matter what, unconditional doubt. That's not the case. Jacobs is a good player, and Jacobs just needs a good home. He just got one. He's now a Green Bay Packer. Jacobs, we'll talk about this in a second. His ADP is around 32 overall, but I've seen him go as late as 4.1 on the regular on Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty ADP data, and in drafts I've seen him fall to 4.1. I've taken him at 4.1. The latest I've seen him go lately was like 4.3. I took him at 4.2 in a recent draft. He got snagged at 3.5 in another. So it just kind of depends on what draft you're in, what kind of league mates you're drafting with, etc. But the bottom line is, anywhere as a third drafted player is a smash. It's an absolute home run. This guy could be a top 5 to 10 running back in 2024. I mean, looking at the data alone for Aaron Jones, if we just pull up Aaron Jones's 2024 numbers, let's say, Aaron Jones was injured the entire season. It wasn't until he came back in the final 3 weeks of the season where he ran the ball 21 times, 20 times, and 22 times. The Green Bay Packers wanted to run this man a ton, as you can see on this screen here. So let me put this indicator on here. 111 yards rushing, no touchdowns on the ground though. 120 yards, no touchdowns on the ground. 127 yards, no touchdowns on the ground. 5 yards a pop, 6 yards a pop, 6 yards a pop, 4.1, 4.6 a carry is pretty darn good. 2 total touchdowns is not. Now you could say, well, Smitty, what's going to change walking into this season? Well, Jordan Love's going to be another year more mature. Jordan Love's going to be surrounded by even more talent. As much as we love Aaron Jones, he couldn't stay healthy. So the fact that he averaged 4.6 yards per carry didn't really matter because he wasn't consistent. The entire run game didn't do well. If you put a running back in that system that is like a fresher version of Aaron Jones, and I believe Jacobs fits the bill perfectly, you're going to get 5 yards per carry. Aaron Jones is one of the best running backs in the National Football League, in the history of the league, in yards per carry. This guy is also an amazing yards per carry potential type running back, and if you put him in Green Bay, you put him there all year long, he helps the offense stay balanced all year long. You don't have Jordan Love kind of bouncing all over the place. Remember, Jordan Love was up and down all year long last year. We were high on him more than any channel you can find, and people jumped off that ship mid-season, but they quickly jumped back on, and Jordan Love needs consistency. That's why Green Bay went out and said, give us a younger version of Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones, thank you for your service, but we need a fresher version of you. Enter Jacobs, who is coming in, like I said, at a 233 overall ADP, which is fantastic. And when you look at the players around this ADP territory, you say to yourself, Rashee Rice, he's in all kinds of trouble right now. Even if he doesn't get more than 1 game, 2 games, whatever, you can say whatever you want about him walking on the situation. Is he a safer bet than Josh Jacobs, a potential top 5 to 10 running back? You could go wide receiver in rounds 1 and 2. Take Jacobs as your 3rd drafted player as your running back 1. Follow that up with another risky Etienne or Derrick Henry. It's not a bad play. Jacobs is a fantastic 3rd drafted player. Michael Pittman Jr., give me Jacobs all day long over Michael Pittman Jr. Jalen Waddle, give me Jacobs all day long. Laporta, debatable. DK, debatable. Jalen Hurts, for sure, debatable. I'm pretty big on 3rd round and 4th round top 3 quarterbacks. Call me crazy. Etienne, fantastic choice. There are some good names in here, but everybody right around this territory for me where he typically falls right below, I'm all in. And Jacobs was around this area here in the 35, 36 territory. So this video would have been even better a couple weeks ago, but it's still fantastic. And it's still a low enough ADP that I got to sound the alarm and just say that he's a league winner anywhere inside the third player drafted territory. Again, I'm not impressed with 805 and 6 touchdowns and 3.5 a pop, but I knew what we were looking at last year. My expectation was low. I think some people might feel burned by him, but I think the writing was on the wall that he was not going to finish the year, even before the year began, because one single moment of getting banged up and he's going to sit out and protect himself for his final contract. He doesn't want to tear an ACL. He doesn't want to get injured. He's going to sit out, get banged up, sit out the remainder of the season. Something I thought Adams might do as well. Jacobs is going to love Green Bay. Green Bay is going to love Jacobs. The balance of this offense, now that Jordan Love has established himself, now that Jacobs will be able to stay in the lineup unlike Aaron Jones was capable of, no matter how good he was, he did amazing for years, but he's done. And I don't think Aaron Jones does well in Minnesota. I don't think he stays healthy. There's a reason he was injured all year last year. Ziggy, how old is Aaron Jones?
Aaron Jones is 29 years old.
For those that don't know, 28 years old, that's the year you drop off. Eckler, 28 drop off. Aaron Jones, 28, couldn't stay healthy. Sometimes you play elite in the games played, but 28 is the hold your breath. Can you do it one more season? Christian McCaffrey's entering that year at 28. Sometimes a running back can play elite at the age of 28. Sometimes it is possible. McCaffrey's probably the one guy we're going to give a hall pass for that, but not in every league. You got to make sure you're careful and not to put all your eggs in one basket. But Aaron Jones in Minnesota with maybe a rookie quarterback or worse, I'm out. I'm completely out. Jacobs was replaced for a reason, because Green Bay knew what time it was. Green Bay was the one that was looking under the hood of Aaron Jones. You don't think they know what's really going on? How many past due oil changes we're looking at with Aaron Jones? They know what's up. Jacobs is going to thrive. Jacobs is going to potentially have his hat in the ring for the league leader in rushing yards. I think Kyron ends up getting that total, but Jacobs could be a top 5 running back in yards on the ground. He could have 1,450 yards. He could still have a handful of receptions. Let's call it like a 40 reception season, something around 350, 400 receiving yards. I'm not saying he gets 2,000 total yards, but it wouldn't like shock me if he did. And I also wouldn't be that surprised if he had something along the lines of 11, 12 total touchdowns or maybe even more. But let's call it safe. Let's pump the brakes. We'll say 1,450 rushing, 10 rushing touchdowns, 1 or 2 receiving touchdowns, 38 receptions, 340 yards receiving. He's a top 5 to 10 running back in fantasy football 2024. And he's one of the bigger steals of all of 2024 at third player drafted value. Go win a league. Invest in some Josh Jacobs anywhere past 32 overall. I give you Moon Man extraordinaire, Josh Jacobs, ladies and gentlemen.
The Moon Man, dropping loads in outer space.
Look at him. Look at him.
Space Monsters.
Take it in.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com studios, it's the Fantasy Football Show.